Hey everybody, so today we're going to be going back in time with a little bit of barbecue. No, I'm kidding. Today I'm going to be talking about another bike that I've acquired. It's a 2001 Univega DS900. Backstory behind this is I actually got this from a gentleman probably in his late 60s. Unfortunately, due to health conditions, isn't able to ride a bike anymore. So what he did is he had his bike on OfferUp for about $100 and never sold. And he lives like 30 minutes away from me, and had the bike, lowered the price down to $50. And coincidentally, I was looking for an inexpensive bike for my Kung Fu teacher at the time, because he found a free 70s road bike, or maybe 80s road bike, and it's way too tall for him. So I took it, went to Recycled Cycles, traded the bike in for some store credit, and they only gave me like $20, but as much as a pair of used Schwabi 27.5 tires. But anyway, this bike is, when it was completely original. I've done some parts conversions, swap outs, because the bike was definitely set up as a commuter rig, because the guy never rode. This is a garage bike. It was never mountain bike, and he mostly rode, for his age, he was just riding actually paved trails. The reason he was riding this kind of bike is he just liked suspension. And a lot of these bike shops are like, oh, you could, if you want a nice cushy bike, you can get something like this. And brand new retail is, and he's the first owner, so I'm the second owner of this bike. This bike retailed back in the day in 2001 for $600, and now I got it for $50. So let's go over the bike, front and back. So this bike runs a 3x8 SRAM drivetrain. This is a SRAM ESP 5.0 rear derailleur. This is an 8-speed Sunrace cassette. It's a 1232. Runs a KMC chain, and up here it's a Shimano Alivio top pole. So it's a 31.8 front derailleur mated to a SRAM 4.0 grip shifter, and the shifting on here is awesome. A lot of you may recall a lot of the old school grip shift at the time. They would be really difficult to, if they got mud in them, it'd be a little bit of a pain to shift these. But this is in pretty good condition. I'm really impressed. The shifting is awesome. It's near Di2 smooth. It is that tuned up. The gentleman who owned this bike before me would take this to the bike shop, and every year he said he was getting it tuned up. So there probably wasn't much to tune anyway, because it's a very low miles bike. It even has the original mountain bike tires on here. So the mountain bike tires on here are Kenda Claw XTs. They have a front specific pattern, as you can see here, and a rear specific pattern, as you see here. And I think it's even designated, as you can tell, rear and then front. And then these wheels are mated to some Joytech 32 hole hubs. And I have to say, the bike is in such really good shape. I've ridden it and I'm impressed. The wheels are here. The rims on here are the Alex rims TD17s. I've only gotten, I went to taper them on them just once. I'll do an on-ride review. This is just so we can experience the bike. This is pretty cool. I did swap out the stem, so I went with an Amazon, a cheapo Amazon stem. I don't know, all those knockoff companies with letters that you can't, it's an XYZ something stem. But this is a 31.8 stem on a 720 millimeter wide, 31.8 clamp diameter core handlebar, and it runs Promax mechanical disc brakes, which, being a Magura guy, I'm quite impressed. These mechanical disc brakes actually stop better than most hydraulic brakes outside of Maguras. They have a Magura MT5 quality to them. It is wild. I've never had disc brakes that are that dialed in. So hats off to whoever set up these brakes, it works fantastic. You know, I'm really impressed. And then this fork here, it's an in-sync Elixir 565. The travel on here is 2.75 inches of travel. In the back, this runs a DNM DV28 rear shock. There's no rebound adjust on here. It says there is, but as you can tell, there isn't. It's just preload here. I don't know if all the oil's leaked out. I would imagine that probably the seals are going to disintegrate. I don't really know. And so it does top out. You would be blown away here. So people have asked, like, with it being this close, does this rear swing arm ever hit the seat post? Believe it or not, it doesn't. You know, if I took out the rear shock right now, the rear tire is actually gonna hit this seat tube, or I mean seat post, before it even hits, before this component does. I've had other Univega bikes, DS bikes, where I've taken a rear shock off, and surprisingly no. And so actually what I had to do here, you'll see it's riveted. I actually took a straight reamer and I cut the stop here. There's a rivet here that prevented you from lowering the seat post any further, obviously, because the concern is, you know, people will lower it to the point where it's going to bang on here. With this much space, it won't. And it barely just need a finger's width. And so I took a straight reamer, I cut off the inside so I could just lower this dropper post. It originally had this rigid 27.2 alloy rigid seat post in here. I swapped it out with a PNW Coast dropper, and it's pretty good. Like, I mean, an external routed dropper, and you know, you just run it, you zip tie it in these spots so just doesn't get all cattywampus, and then you just route it around, and it's made it to a spare wolf tooth dropper lever that I've had, and voila. And then my friend had a spare Avenir saddle that was in about my width, like a 142 wide saddle, and so I took advantage of it, took it off his hands and installed it on this bike. The previous one was a cell, I forget how it's pronounced, but it was the original SELLE saddle on here, which was way too narrow. It's probably like it was definitely a 130. So here the tire configuration are, as again, they're Kenda Claw XTs in a 26 by 2.1 front and rear configuration. This crankset here, I forget who makes it. It's a generic one. Let's see if I can even find it. Apex beats me. And then so what's kind of cool about this bike also is the fact that just to show you kind of here, the previous, I still have the previous or the older version of this bike. This has replaceable bearings on here. The original 98 to 99 Univega DS bikes, dual suspension bikes, actually had bushings, and I don't know if you need a tool to take them apart, but they are not. They're actually kind of permanent. So once the bushings are worn, that's it. And so if the bushings wear, what happens is the swing arm tends to have so much lateral play that your shifting gets all jank. So anytime you put the power down, the thing's all tilted, you know, it starts moving around and affects your chain line, then it starts skipping all over the place. So you'll think that your derailleur is all, you know, your adjustment's bad, but really the swing arm is so loose, it's the chain line is affecting like your how the chain's lined up with your rear cassette. So they made these serviceable. It's kind of neat. I'm always like, it was kind of a good thing. The only thing is, this is an aluminum frame, this is an aluminum back end too, but the weight on here has to be like somewhere in a ballpark of maybe 30 plus pounds. I would say I'll just average 32 to be safe. But this is a pretty cool bike. It is worn a little bit because it was in storage since 2016, but I don't know if the shop ever cared, or they just never noticed. But I don't know if you can see that, but there's these bushings here are worn out. So fortunately these are replaceable, so I can do that. Or if the shock blows, yeah, this is a 190 millimeter eye-to-eye rear shock, so I could literally go on Amazon and get like a brand new D&M coil with a reservoir and make it all fancy. I don't know if I really want to do that. That'd be fun. I think future projects for this bike will be oh yeah, I should have brought up you know, it's impressive that this fork still feels as good as it does. I have not taken it apart. I'm afraid that all the elastomers are gonna wear, but or it's an elastomer fork. I haven't checked it out in the winter to see if it's gonna get rock hard or whatever, but so far it's a really good, capable fork. It's smooth. That's why I haven't jumped to replacing the shock with a, you know, like one of my spare RockShox XC28 forks, because that's probably going to be heavier than on this bike. And what's interesting is this bike also runs flat mount. So if I were to ever run, if I ever wanted to be like trick this bike out and run modern Magura hydraulic brakes, I would have to get a post mount adapter. Hopefully it works out. Older bikes it can get pretty tricky, but I don't have a need to do that at all. I'm just so impressed how this mechanical disc brake works so darn good. So there is that. And then, you know, swapped out the rear seat post or seat tube collar on here, and this is the seat tube diameter on the 2001 Univega DS900s is actually 27.2. I thought it would be like down here, like the old school, the older generation Univega DS bikes, they run like 31 or 30.9s. And so I thought, oh, okay, I'd get a 30.9, but fortunately I have a spare. I broke a GTR TS, so I had a spare 27.2 and threw it on here. But overall, it's a cool bike. I'm gonna do another video where I hop on and we ride tapeworm on it, one of the tapeworm trails, and see how this bike performs. It's amazing how cool this bike actually rides for as old as it is. It's I'm actually super duper impressed. Like the brakes are nice and crisp. It's just cool to see these old bikes and kind of give them a little bit of a second life. You know, the thing I was never a fan of are the water bottle cages being underneath, because all this crap goes onto your water bottle. So what happens is you don't even drink out of you just unscrew it and you just drink out of the bottle that way. Oh, I should say the frame size it's an 18-inch, and this is a whole entire alloy, swing arm, and front triangle. But if you have any questions about this bike, feel free to ask me. I'm more than happy to talk to you about it. Especially if I know there's not a lot of videos or info about these bikes, so maybe I'll replace the. I mean, even the I forget how some of these components are pronounced, but these Tang cassette, I don't know, Tang Sakai, whatever, headset on here. It's a straight 1-in-1. It's not tapered. But I have a Chris King headset. I have 2 spare Chris King headsets. Maybe I'll just fancy it up and put it on here. But it was meant for my Kung Fu teacher. But I don't even know now. I like this bike so much, I think I might have to shop him a hardtail or something. But if anybody in the Seattle area is giving away a bike that would fit like a mountain bike or a hybrid bike for somebody about 5'6", 5'7", let me know, and that's in pretty good shape, and maybe I'll just give that to my Kung Fu teacher. But anyway, this bike is so darn cool, and the guy was very sentimental when he sold me the bike. Clearly was excited. You know, he actually really and I didn't tell him anything, you know, like I have all these new bikes and stuff, but he really thought that I was just getting into the sport of mountain biking, and he was so proud. Like the guy had washed the bike, and he was like, you know, this is a great, you know, you're gonna love this bike as much as me. And you know, kind of, you know, when you see somebody who really, and he gave me a free bike helmet with it. Like, you know, I mean, just so many cool things about this gentleman. And to me, I feel like sentimental wise, like it means a lot to him. So I definitely will keep this bike for a hell of a long time. It would break my heart if it got stolen, like, because I mean, he really loved his bike. But anyway, that is it. I will stay tuned for the ride along. That's gonna be fun on this bike, because I won't go and destroy the bike, but you know, let's just see how it does on just a regular trail. All right, I'll see you folks later. Bye.